All right, what are we up to today? As you can see, and you probably read the title, we have a oil change going on. And this is my typical oil change. It is an absolute mess in this Bronco. Just sliding under here without a lift and everything, and not having a giant pan and about 5 gallons of oil coming out of there in 1 second through this. I mean, look at the size of this plug. This is the size of your uncle's fingers. Some of you know what I mean. But today we are going to do something to fix this. What this does is you have this right here is going to replace that plug, which you're supposed to replace that plug like every time you do an oil change. Another ridiculous thing. So you'll take that plug out. We're going to screw this in, then there's a valve inside of here. This valve is always closed, even when this cap's on. And this stays in there. So what we'll do is when you want to do an oil change, this stays in there. You're going to then remove this off the outside, and you have this piece. This piece, when you screw it in, it actually pushes down in here, opening the valve to let the oil out. And so you can actually adjust the flow by how far you screw this in. It also has a barbed end, and on that end there, it even has a tube that you could stick on there if you really want to control the flow. I'm sure this would be a lot slower flow than, the giant oil cap that's on there now, or plug. It also comes with some O-rings, so keep those on there. But let's go ahead and put it on there, and we'll see how it fits. Okay, so first things first, in this package here, there's also a couple wave spring washers is what they're called. And you're going to want to put one of these onto this before we put it on. One cool thing I just noticed is that this is magnetic on the end. So that's kind of a little bit of an added bonus there to this. So we'll put this on there. That'll set in there. And we are going to put some oil on this O-ring before we put it in. Now in the instructions, it says, make note of this notch right here. And inside the oil plug hole, there's a spot there at about 8 o'clock where you want to line this up. So when we put this in, we want it to line up with that about 8 o'clock, and you're going to push in while you're turning, and it's only going to go about a quarter of a turn. So you're only going to put this about 12 o'clock, and that's where it should be done. On this at about 8 o'clock. Okay. Push in as we turn. Right. And when it got to about 12, it actually moved a bit out, like it actually set in. Okay, now I'll keep an eye on this and make sure we don't have any leaks. That the valve's operating correctly. Even though we're going to put a cap on it, I still want to make sure the valve is good to go. I've swapped my filter out, put a quart of oil in there. Let's see if we can get anything to come out of here. Make sure we have that lined up nice. Oh yeah, yep. Hey, I don't want all my good oil to go away, but yeah, super easy. So just imagine if you're changing your oil. You would just screw that in, and then the oil would come out in a nice controlled fashion instead of basically a waterfall. So let's put our cap in that's going to stay in there. Our old looking one here, with a bird on it. All right. Now, next oil change will be so much easier. Put a link to this in the description down below, and I'm sure there's a couple different types of this, so I'll link to the best one I can find. Hope this helps some of you out, and you'll be off to some better and easier oil changes in the future. Thanks for watching. Also, something pretty cool is, I just wanted to double check this, but a lot of us, including me, use these to transport our oil, and so AutoZone or wherever you're going to dump it at, and I wanted to check, and this will slide right under there. So it might take a long time, but you could use that hose and drain it directly into this. So, hell yeah. All right, about 20 minutes later, everything's reset, oil light, everything. I didn't want to do an actual oil change video. I don't want to get into that, but no leaks, tight as a drum, all good. I'm gonna put the plates back on and send it.